Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Hello, hello, hello. Y'all are in for a treat. At least we hope so. This is something that is very special to us. We'll get into that in a second. If you are watching, this is pre-recorded, but you should still comment. In fact, we're going to specifically ask for certain things from you later on. So please make sure you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give them permission to see your name. Facebook can't see anything else. It's just so we can see who's talking. And we know how to address you. Otherwise, if you don't go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give them permission to see your name, what are we going to call them?
Golden Fuckboy.
Golden Fuckboy is what your name is going to be. So, Golden Fuckboy, as always, I am your host and founder of Southpaw's Tales of the Barstool, JD, and to my right, as always, is the hot and funny one, my wife.
Hi, my
Kat.
beautiful people. Hello.
Any cool jokes or anything to start us off?
No, but I do have a comment to make. So we do have a drink for the night, and I'm totally on board with it because, of course, it's by 5x5, and I love 5x5. However, the stomach bug came through our house this week, which prevented me from going to a girls' tipsy campus night with my friends. So back here, I have a secret stash. Jello shots, because I made 100 for that night. We're not going to drink 100
We're
tonight.
going to do them all tonight.
We're each going to try one of every flavor that I made as we go through the night. So I will tell you the flavors, not how they're made. If you want to know how they're made, message me privately. I'll send you the recipes. No big deal. So just to warn you, you're going to see us taking Jello shots. We're going to try to stay away from the mic because otherwise it sounds like you're eating that really nasty pussy. And we're not going to do that.
Or really just wet one. It doesn't have to be nasty. It's just wet. And everybody likes wet pussy.
I thought that was the same thing.
I mean, both sides win. But tonight, this week is actually halfway to Halloween. Woo! And if you know us, you know that Halloween and haunts and ghosts and paranormal
I probably have paint on my arms
is our thing. We were
Halloween decorations.
Yeah,
today,
we were working on Halloween props today. But since it is the halfway to Halloween, we're gonna make. We got a list, top 10 places that we want to go that are haunted. And we'll also talk about a couple of the haunted places we've gone because we've had like a haunted anniversary where everything we did for that anniversary was based around the paranormal because we're fucking ghost geeks and it's awesome. So we'll be bringing those and some trivia of the different places. But before we do that, make sure that if you want to, you can go check out all of our old episodes on YouTube or any of your favorite podcasting platforms. We got some really good news about our podcast last week from our distributor. Knucklehead Media Group. Man, FYI,
all day today.
Words have not worked for me all day.
He keeps adding random
I think I had a stroke.
He keeps adding random F's into things. It is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. I think he smelled burnt toast.
Yeah.
So
there were phantom smells. Part of my body stopped working. I don't know what happened. I think there's a medical term for it. I don't know.
It's called a stroke. You're fine. Yes.
But tonight we are going to be drinking. I can't believe it's finally in cans. I'm so happy you've heard me talk about it for 2 fucking years on this show. We are drinking the 40mm stout by 5x5 Brewing. The first time I had this was in a keg 3 or 4 years ago. I picked up a keg of it for a local crawfish boil that we do.
Which we talked about before.
And they finally recently got it in cans. Certain grocers, I'm not going to say any names, won't carry it because of the
there's a gun.
Really badass artwork. And actually, I'm going to read the back of this. And go fuck yourself. I am of a certain age now where I need cheaters to read. And if you're going to make fun of me, then fuck you. Especially you. Fuck you,
Can you see your bleak future in those glasses?
I can't see shit. So this artist or this artwork on the can is actually painted by an Army veteran, Gerardo Casares, aka Ghost. You can find out his stuff at Ghost Custom Art. I don't know which social media platform that is, maybe all of them, but that's all the information. But
just Google it.
It is some really, really cool artwork. But
thanks, babe.
We're not gonna have like a reaction to this drink like we have many others because it's something we've had so many times that we just love it. It tastes like
he's
coffee.
Such a liar. Every time he sips his beer, he goes, "Oh yeah," just like that.
Really, I go, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, it's like
I don't do that.
Almost like your orgasm face, but like not. But it's close.
And Kat was cool enough. She ordered me some new koozies, and they're all like Letterkenny sayings. If you haven't watched Letterkenny on Hulu, you should do that because it's
even
awesome.
I did. Come on now.
And yeah, pitter patter.
Mine says on one side it says allegedly, the other side it says Bart's Yorkie Schultze, Fiske, Boomtown. That's the hockey players. Sorry. If you're not a fan, you're not a fan. It happens.
So we're going to keep going. That fucking beer is awesome. There's no other thing to say about it.
It's because I called you out for the,
I don't, why do I sound like retarded
like
Down syndrome
like
Elvis?
I see it too.
Oh my God.
I see it too.
We're going to get to our sponsors. And of course, we're drinking one of our sponsors tonight. 5
I mean,
by
not
5
them personally, but their beer.
I'm drinking George.
Oh, no. That's a big, tall, and nope.
Yeah, I'm actually wearing one of their shirts too. I didn't even realize it. But
big, tall glass and no thank you.
But 5 by 5 Brewing Company is battle-born and Texas-made veteran brewing company based in Mission, Texas. Co-founded by Army vet George Rice with beers like the 40mm Stout, the Brunette Bombshell, and Fubar. It's no surprise this brewery is taking over the Texas markets from the Valley to the Coastal Bend, now up to Central Texas Hill Country, Bryan College Station. They're growing and growing and growing.
They really are.
Make sure you ask your local bar, restaurant, grocer to start carrying 5 by 5 Brewing Company today. You can get more information at 5x5brewing.com, facebook.com/5x5brewing. Call them directly at 956-445-5421 or email them at info@5x5brewing.com. They're also sponsoring my local veteran groups Memorial Day, Ruck March, and banquet that they're doing, that we're doing. I'll have a shameless plug for that later on with more information. But they're just constantly involved in the community. They're constantly involved in veteran organizations, groups, events, things like that. So please reach out to them. Look, even if you're not local, they're going to help you out.
Yes.
What do you have, babe?
Oh, I was going to say, if you did drink a tall glass of George, which don't get me wrong, that would be a warm glass, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I don't know. How many hairs do you think you'd have to pick out of your teeth?
I don't know. George is a pretty hairy motherfucker.
Most magnificent set of facial hair.
A set of facial hair?
Flossing
it's a set of facial hair.
Flossing.
We
love you, George.
That's so gross. Our next sponsor tonight is OMOG Construction, founded by Marine vet Seth Knox and Matt Anders. They're general contractors serving the greater Houston, Texas area with a focus on concrete. No job too big or too small, from residential and commercial to industrial foundations and pads. OMOG Construction has you covered. You can find them at omogco.com, facebook.com/omogco, that's Omako, or Instagram, OMOGCO. That stands for One Mexican, One Wedo. For those of you that are not in the know, Wedo is Spanish slang for white dude. Have you actually gone and looked at some of their stuff on Facebook? It's not just like, they're not just doing sidewalks. I mean, it's highly decorative, very
like stamped concrete.
meticulous.
It's really pretty.
I mean, it's
really nice.
Yeah, it's not just typical bullshit. It's good stuff.
It's good. But you didn't give me a chance earlier. You were talking about the major podcasting platforms that we're on, and you always say about liking and sharing. And I actually came up with a different one besides finger blasting for the like button.
So yeah, while you're watching, you need to.
So you are going to take that beautiful like button, and you're going to diddle that Skittle.
Diddle the Skittle?
Yes. Consensually. Consensually.
You're going to have a consensual roll in the hay with that share button right now.
Boom.
Share. If you're watching on the actual Southpaw's Facebook page right now, you can't share. Just hit that send button, I guess. I don't know how the fuck to do it, but it can be done.
Doesn't matter.
But moving forward,
you'll figure it out.
So it is our halfway to Halloween paranormal wish list. Before we get into some of the places that we
let's see, I have
want to go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 flavors. I have 6 items.
Yeah, let's do one of these Jello shots and get this thing going.
Okay. So I'm not a big orange dreamsicle person, but I know you are. I make those specifically for you. So we'll go ahead and start with that one because I know it's your fave.
Orange dreamsicles just remind me of a simpler time,
Oh, back in yonder days when you were a kid.
You're
so. I love you.
A couple weeks ago.
This is the orange dreamsicle. This is the right way to do it. You swirl your tongue around the edge to break it loose.
I'm still such a little kid with Jello. Like I squish it through my teeth and everything. Yeah, some things will never, ever, ever change. So
it does taste like the orange ice cream popsicle. So I did pretty good.
So just a little background of why we got so interested in the paranormal. Some of you may have watched the couple of the haunted episodes we had last season.
Yes.
But when her and I were engaged to be married, and once we were married, we were living in a house in Tyler, Texas. That was
White House, Texas, but right outside of Tyler, Texas.
Severely haunted.
Severely haunted. We haven't
to
even
this-
gone over everything.
And to this day, let me put this out. I am a skeptical believer. I think 99% of the shit that's out there can be proven or disproven or rationalized somehow. But there's that 1%, and we were fortunate enough or unfortunate enough, depending on how you look at it, to experience that shit for 12 months.
A lot of fucking 1% in a very short amount of time. Yes.
But I'm definitely a believer, but I don't believe everything. And I'm not one of those people that's gonna just like buy the fact that they say it's
believe
haunted.
Or because someone tells us it's haunted, believe it outright, because we've been to very haunted places and experienced absolutely nothing. Not that it's not haunted. We just, ghosts don't work on our schedule.
Yeah, ghosts aren't on the clock.
Yeah, no. So it could have just been bad timing. Not saying that, not saying it's not haunted because nothing happened, just saying that, it happened.
But so I can't remember what year anniversary it was, but we actually made our anniversary around the entire, I think it was our 12th
year.
Like that.
12th year anniversary.
12th or something.
Yeah.
So we went to San Antonio.
Married anniversary.
We went to San Antonio. We rented a room on the haunted floor of the Emily Morgan, which used to be the Yellow Rose Hotel. It's right across the street from the Alamo. If you don't know the history of the Alamo and the bloodshed there, just turn the show off right now.
Yeah,
go fuck
get
yourself.
A book. Get a book.
Yeah, go do some fucking history research.
You forgot the
and
Alamo.
Then tune back in.
You forgot the fucking Alamo. Sorry, I'm fine. I don't even get paid to be here.
You broke me.
I did. I like it. Hopefully someone else appreciated that joke.
But yeah, so we stayed in this haunted hotel. And so you have the Emily Morgan. Right next to it is the Alamo. And then right next to it is another haunted hotel that's attached to the Riverwalk Mall. That one's actually the most haunted place, but you have to like reserve a room there on the haunted floors like years in advance. I mean, it's
which we got a room.
There's like 112.
We got a room in what was the ICU, correct? Isn't that what it was?
Yeah, because it used to be a hospital prior to it being a hotel. It's one of those old buildings from the 1800s that's
it's
lived a life
functions.
of a
lot of them have. A
but
lot
then
of
we
them
did.
List have.
There was a really cool walking tour for the haunted spots in downtown San Antonio. It's about a 2-hour tour.
2 hours.
I remember his first name was Martin. I cannot remember his last name. If you ever make San Antonio,
Segovia?
look up.
No, that's your other friend, Mark. Never mind.
Not Mark. It was Martin Leal. It was Martin Leal.
I believe you.
Go to San Antonio. He has no clue that we're plugging him right now. Not only was it just paranormal stuff, and he's not one of those guys that's like, "Ooh, there's an orb. It's haunted." Like he's very scientific about it,
and he knows a lot
of the history,
which is very fascinating.
Really, really cool history lessons.
And he's funny.
There's humor behind it. It's great for the kids. It's great for the adults. We enjoyed it. I think we've done this tour like 3 or 4 times. Yes. We tried other tours, other walking tours, and they just weren't the same.
The whole time talking crap about other tours, and we're like, all right, that's not
that they were doing what are those stupid wire rods
dowsing rods.
Yeah, dowsing rods. You can find ghosts with dowsing rods.
We don't believe in dowsing rods.
Yeah, dowsing rods are retarded.
We don't believe in dowsing rods.
Yeah, because I can sit there and make it look like I'm not moving, and I can make those motherfuckers dance.
I bet you can.
Oh yeah.
You know how to make a rod dance.
Damn right I do. But the walking tour ends at the Alamo.
To
this day, I don't know if I actually saw what I think I saw or if my mind played tricks on me, but I saw pretty much from like the thighs down of something walking.
Our light started flickering. Did you notice that? I'm like, seriously?
Hey.
That is fortuitous.
Ghost.
That's what that is.
Stop flickering my light. Okay, I was really hoping it would stop.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
I would have pooped myself. I'm pooping myself.
Well, I had to wash his britches, so thank you, Ghost, for not. I'm not wiping his ass again.
Not again.
Fool me 3 times. Shame on me.
So that was one of our haunted experiences that we've had so far. Admittedly, we haven't seen anything on the. That's hilarious. Oh, it started again.
Well,
I think the wiring's going bad on that light. What could possibly go wrong? No, we didn't see anything in the Emily Morgan Hotel. We didn't see anything, and we went to one of the supposedly haunted bars. This is back when you can smoke cigars in there. Had a cigar, some brandy. It was a bar that's been open since the 1800s. Didn't see anything the entire time. Had a blast though. It was awesome.
It was gorgeous. The bar was made of wood, of carved wood. It was absolutely beautiful.
You don't see that craftsmanship
the experience
anymore.
In and of itself, and being able to smoke a cigar and sip brandy. The experience in and of itself in a historical bar where historical things have happened. Just overall, it was a good experience. So, even though there wasn't paranormal experience. So,
okay, so Kat and I kind of made our list. We made a top 10 list, but we didn't say like these are the top 10. I made 5 places I want to go. She made 5 places she wants to go. We independently researched them, so a lot of the stuff she's going to say is going to be a surprise to me, and vice versa.
Technically, I made 6 because there's one I'm throwing out there that's not necessarily like a super hot spot for paranormal activity, but the idea behind it and the ambiance and stuff in and of itself, I want to go.
And also, if you can think of cool haunted places that are local to you or your original stomping grounds or stuff like that, something that we could do a vacation
put
or
on
vacation
our bucket
around.
list, whatever.
Yeah, put it in the comments because I really, really, really want it. I mean, this is the shit we eat up.
It is legitimately our jam. So you would be helping our lady jam out.
You'll be the peanut butter to our jam.
Yeah.
That sounded way cooler in my head.
You'd be the jam to his peanut butter. It's getting worse.
Moving forward. So what's the first one on your list of where you want to visit? We're gonna take
no specific order here, right? No specific order.
Yeah, mine aren't in priority order.
Awesome. Okay, praise Jesus. All right, so first one is I've got to find it on here so I can get the Shizeman dump. So I didn't say where it is located because I'm stupid, but the Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Now I'm going to have to Google it to tell you where it's from.
Waverly Hills.
That's not what I want to talk about.
That's where I want to be.
Okay, Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky. So this has been on several like haunted investigation. Yeah, pretty much. Because it is such a hot spot. It does have so much paranormal activity. So a little backstory. So it was opened up as a tuberculosis clinic, like a tuberculosis hospital in 1910. And it became between the 60s to the 80s became like a geriatric hospital. So, but the whole point of this hospital was the way it's laid out is a bit confusing on purpose. And it was supposed to basically hide the deaths of the patients from the well patients or the patients that are recovering. So it even has like a body chute down in the basement that has like railroad tracks where they would like shoot the bodies down to go and get cremated and stuff afterwards. So it just overall, it has just like the layout is a little wanky as well. So it also adds to that creep factor because you get a little disoriented.
When I die, can you put me down a body chute?
Yeah, of course. I was
One last thrill.
Already planning that. So the reason they think it's a hot spot is because there is predicted to be around 50,000 deaths in this building alone because of the high.
Did you say 50,000?
50,000 because of the death turnovers in the tuberculosis. At their peak, they were losing 154 patients a day.
COVID ain't got shit on TB.
No shit. Like, come on now, step it up, COVID.
Yeah, those are rookie numbers.
You gotta So, also, when it was a geriatric facility, they did some radical and experimental treatment on the geriatric patients, including electroshock therapy. So, lots of weird, wanky, crazy ass shit going on. So, among the most common paranormal activity that is put out there on Facebook that people have witnessed there, of course, are footsteps. It's pretty common with most places. Screaming, shadows, and you could see like someone walking like on the wall, like you see their shadow across the wall and you turn around and no one's there. They hear people, their voices echoing through the body chute. So you can go down to the body chute and you hear people as if someone was yelling at the other end and it was echoing back, but no one's there. The room 502 is the most common with paranormal activity. In theory, 2 nurses at 2 different times, 2 different years and everything, committed suicide in that same room. One hung herself and the other one threw herself from the window. So apparently that's a big one for whispers, including get out and the shadow figures going across the window. So that's apparently the hot spot of the entire facility is the body chute in room 502. In case you ever want to go, that's where I want to go. So
Yeah.
I looked it up.
Fucking sign me up.
I was telling JD that my favorite part about the internet this day and age is you can look up reviews. So what I did wasn't just looked up like the historical facts of the building and the paranormal activity. I also looked up the reviews of live people. People have actually been there, done the tours, done the haunted location thing, and they're telling me what is the most prevalent.
That's
so there was one,
cool.
I went to like one of the places I'm going to talk about. I went to 3 different sites that was sponsored by either that city that owns it or their page or Wikipedia. But then I saw the reviews and found the actual room inside of it that has there was so many reviews. Do not go to this room. Do not stay in this room. This happened. And I'm like, I want to go.
That's where I'm going.
So bad.
What's the only thing that would keep me out of that room?
Dolls, porcelain dolls.
Fuck those things. Fuck porcelain dolls.
Porcelain dolls. Then now you know.
Porcelain dolls. No. Like we run a Halloween haunt that is pretty respectable for being run out of our front yard.
Yes.
I will not put porcelain dolls in that. No.
I have have floating doll heads where it has no eyeballs and I have candles.
Well, those are fine.
In there.
Those are fine. But porcelain dolls freak me the fuck out. So fuck those things. Anything else? I'll go in. I mean, yeah, don't give a shit.
Serial murder and rapist. Go fuck yourself. Porcelain doll. I'm out.
Thank you. Thank you for understanding my plight.
That was sarcasm. Okay. Yes. So that's my number. Well, that's number 1 on my list. That's not my number 1 spot, but that is the first.
Actually, I think my number 1 is my number 1, but not just for the paranormal thing. It is a time and an era that has just for some reason caught my attention. But Tombstone, Arizona is
that's a good one
on my list. But even before the famous movie came out, like I was totally enamored with the Wild Wild West, Billy the Kid, Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday. They're like, fuck, we had dogs named after some of these.
That's true.
But like Back to
we
the Future 3.
were this close to naming our son after Doc Holliday. So
yeah. Back to the Future 3 was my favorite Back to the Future because of the era it's in. But yeah, Tombstone, at its peak was the fastest growing city at the time.
Is that because like the gold rush? Is that right? Or is that because of a different reason?
It wasn't a gold rush. I think it was silver.
Oh, okay.
I think it was silver.
Okay, just curious.
It was so big that, believe it or
buff.
not, Tombstone actually had 2 newspapers, which was fairly uncommon.
Wow.
Like back in those days, you would have
Tombstone Herald.
You would have one newspaper for like the entire region. Like,
was it Justin? Just in time.
Just in time. But Tombstone, of course, everybody knows it's famous for the shootout at the OK Corral. That was 24 seconds of pure chaos.
Anarchy.
I think it was 3 people died, multiple people injured.
Mm-hmm.
That was the beginning of the true war between the Earps and the Cowboys. A little bit of history, but getting into the paranormal side, there's only a small portion of the town that still stands today. It's still up and running. You have the general store. You have the Birdcage. The Birdcage Theater. It was one of 2 theaters that was in Tombstone. It's one of the most haunted locations there.
I've heard about that.
There's been. I'm gonna have to put on these cheaters because I have my notes in my phone. And
so
if you don't like it, go fuck yourself.
Oh, I have an old man fetish now.
Oh, do you now?
Can I share?
I've got a Werther's original for you, babe.
It's deeper in my pocket. Keep digging.
But actually, Tombstone's post office was opened in 1878, and it still runs to this day. Believe it or not.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That is awesome, though.
There was an ice cream parlor in Tombstone that was extremely popular, and that was one of Wyatt Earp's favorite places to hang out because he loved ice cream.
What?
Yeah. The coward that shot people in their backs while they slept loved ice cream.
Well, now I know. History's weird.
But the Tombstone, in Tombstone, the Birdcage is one of the most haunted places. It was one of 6 major hangouts as far as the casinos, the taverns, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Most of which served whiskey, brandy, and I thought this would be great just because we're an alcohol themed podcast.
Adorable. Keep going.
6-year-old Kentucky apple brandy.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Gin rum, sherry, port, English ale, Scotch, Miller's Extra, which I didn't even realize that Miller's is that old of a brand.
I didn't either.
And 26 different imported wines.
I want to get apple brandy. That sounds good.
But the catering included fried shrimp or fresh shrimp and oysters, which were bought from California to Tucson in a refrigerated train car.
This is stuff probably
that
back in the day cost a fucking pretty penny.
But yeah, that's stuff that I just didn't even know that outside the paranormal, just I thought was super, super cool.
Cool.
But in the Birdcage, there's supposedly sightings of people in period dressed like the dancers that you would see on stage there.
Yeah.
Of course, the cowboys that were shot and killed.
Yeah.
There's been sightings of one of the Earps. Those you see a lot less, or you hear of a lot less. I'm not sure if I really buy into that. I think it's more of just people
probably just
they might see something and they just make their own story up of what it is.
Yeah, just perpetuating.
Or
makes sense.
Or once that
legend
seed
is
planted,
legend for a reason, though.
But I'm also a believer that once a seed is planted of wanting to see or hear something, your brain is going to look for that.
I completely agree.
Like whenever we've done paranormal investigations in the past,
for example, which leads me to my next point. So I talked about the sanatorium. That was a hospital. We actually did a hospital. We did a haunted tour at Yorktown Memorial Hospital. When the groundskeeper gave us the tour, he intentionally left out what most people experience because he wanted to form our own opinion. And I truly appreciated it about him. Yes, he looked like a meth head.
Oh, he was definitely
totally a meth head. He probably had a girl in his basement. Okay. But he kept, we would walk into a room and he's like, yeah, just putting it out there. Do you smell anything? Because, some people complain of smells and we're like, oh my God.
There is a very distinct smell whenever you open up a Band-Aid.
Yeah. It was that smell and it
permeated. It was fresh. It was
the room.
It was,
and that was the only hint he gave us the entire tour. And then after he's done with this tour, he left and we were by ourselves the rest of the night. It was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it was the Yorktown Hospital. It's been on several paranormal shows. It's about an hour and a half from where we're living right now. We rented out for the night with another couple.
And that's going to be happening again soon.
Yeah, we'll be
if you're
doing it
interested,
again.
hit us up privately. We're looking for people to join us.
We did photos, we did video, audio, EMF detectors, the whole nine. And another thing about planting the seed is when we do these investigations, as discussed earlier, we're skeptical believers. We try to disprove things first, or not necessarily disprove it, but be like, okay, that was probably this.
Yeah,
that could have been this.
Yeah.
But when we went back and we listened to all the audio, we had headphone splitters on, and anytime either one of us heard something, it was like, what? Stop. Rewind it. Okay, and we would each write down what we thought we heard, and instead of saying it out loud, because if I were to tell you, hey, I heard the sky is green and the grass is blue, that's what your brain is going to be listening for. But if you don't hear, all you know is I should be hearing something.
Yeah.
And if we both wrote down the same thing that we heard, then it lends more credence to it being possibly more legitimate and factual than anything.
Also, the other crazy thing that happened that night was we heard, because we did watch one of the Paranormal Activity shows, that there was a ball that moves in the basement. We brought our own ball. We put it in the hallway. We were asking it to move. It's not moving, but we hear something coming from one of the rooms. It's a basement. There's no windows. There's a basement. So we hear something moving. So my girlfriend and I were like, well, while they were closing out the whatever, we went around the corner. There was another ball that was already in there and it was moving. So when we were asking it to move the ball, it wasn't moving the ball we brought. It was moving the ball that was already downstairs.
Yeah, it was moving his ball.
So when we were like, oh shit, we were telling him to move the ball the whole time. He was moving it. He just wasn't moving the ball we wanted him to.
And I tried so hard to recreate it. And mind, this is solid foundation, solid cement foundation.
It's a basement.
No circulation. We're sweating our asses off because it's just stagnant air.
Yeah.
And even then, it was like this crazy, like zigzag hallway to get back to where we were. And I was like jumping around it. I was shuffling my feet around it, and I could not get that ball to move whatsoever after that. And it kind of pissed me off.
But it was interesting because we're like, huh. So now we know that we need to make sure there's not another ball there because he'll move it. He just won't move the one you want him to because he actually is a fucking kid down there because that's what kids do. They make you freaking liars.
Let's take this Jello shot.
This one is, it's a new flavor. Very, very blue.
Very, very blue.
Very, very blue.
All right, let's try this out. Oh, it's so blue. It's tasty, but I can't place what alcohol's in there.
Sir Rock Red Berry.
Nice, good stuff.
Thanks, babe.
So what's the next one on your list?
All right, so the next one on my list. So I'm going to skip over the one I just want to see for the ambiance, and I'm going to move on, and we'll come back to that. So the next one that I want to talk about is in Philadelphia. It is Eastern State Penitentiary. I didn't intentionally put these top two at the top, but they're pretty close to my top two, if not like, second, third, because the third one I have written down is probably in the top. It's got to be the top one. So anyway, Eastern State Penitentiary, it was open from 1829 to 1970. This is a long freaking running penitentiary. I'll tell you that. So this was like the epitome of we're going to drive our inmates wackadoodle. And it makes sense to me why it would be so haunted. So their whole, like, I guess, shtick at this penitentiary was every inmate was in solitary confinement. The only person they saw was the prison guard. They were bagged. They put bags over their heads to transport them anywhere. So no other inmate saw them. They didn't see any other inmate. It was freaking hell.
The psychological ramifications.
That alone, I would be like, yeah. But also they tortured them. So there were times where they chained the inmates' tongues to their wrists.
Wait. How do you chain a tongue? Is that like some severe body mods? Like,
I don't know.
Shit that came.
I don't know.
Popular.
I don't know. But there's 2000. Also, they would dunk them in water and then hang them out the window in the dead of winter. This is in Pennsylvania, by the way. Philadelphia, Philadelphia, to be more specific.
Fucking Yankees are sick fucks.
So there was also the iron gag, which was used pretty commonly, of course, more so at the beginning than at the end, where it was this iron gag they put in there that was so tight, it would rip the corners of their mouths and it would tear their tongue. It would rip and shred their tongue apart.
You want to know how I got these scars?
So they said that there was an overwhelming amount of suicide disease, obviously torture, harsh treatments, and other things. So the most common things are, of course, voices, shadows, laughing, they said is the most common. There's lots of, they hear cackling and laughter.
I think laughing would be the most.
That would be the scariest fucking shit ever.
Like disembodied laughing would be freaky as fuck.
So of course, I looked it up. So cell blocks that are the most haunted: cell block 12, voices and laughter; cell block 6, there is a common shadow figure that appears; cell block 4, which I guess was the last one opened when they decided to make it a tourist site, or whatever, for ghost tours and whatever. It was the last one open, and the guy who opened it was a guard. He actually had to jimmy the lock open. And he said the first thing he saw when he entered that room was he saw a face come right up to his face. He bolted and quit his job that day. So, and apparently it's very common to see a man's face in that room to this day. So,
can you imagine that just opening up an abandoned place and just like something just shooting?
Yes, at you. No, I'm out. Also, they see the silhouette of the guards in the towers, footsteps, wailing, and whispers. So those are the most common cell blocks: 12, 6, and 4. So there you go.
Little side note: if you don't know the history of the American penal system and the way that they've been run,
the American what system?
Penal.
I'm on board. I don't even know.
The prison systems and the way that they have worked.
I'm in.
In American history, you definitely need to go look that shit up because it's gone from, severe torture. Of course, I'm definitely a fan of capital punishment. I wish they would bring public hangings back for certain.
I'm going to say this half as a joke, but the prisons weren't overrun then.
Huh.
I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying it's right. It's terribly wrong.
But yeah, there was the point where they would torture them. Then it went to the point to where there's
some that might just
it got to the point where it was supposed to be a reformatory where you
rehabilitation type thing.
But under the guise of reform and rehabilitation was
electroshock therapy
was a way to medically test or just have doctors just do fucked up shit.
Yeah.
And then it went to it's progressed several times to what we have today, which is now just
come on, Demolition Man. When you reprogram them when they're frozen in a block, come on, Demolition Man.
Yeah, we need a bunch of people that can
rehabilitate
and crochet.
Yeah, just say it.
So another place,
stupidest movie ever.
So a place that we've gone, and we actually took our kids here. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I really want you guys to do the research. If you ever get to make it out into West Texas, there's a small little town, like 2 stop signs called Marfa, Marfa.
Yeah.
It's famous for, there's this area where you look up the hill at the night, and these lights start at the top of the hill and go down the bottom. And the color, the size, the intensity, and number of them, it's completely random.
Their path. It's all random.
It's
not the same
random.
At the same time of year. It's been studied.
It's been documented for well over a century. So well before the automobile was even invented, these lights have been documented. Obviously, there's something scientific that's causing them. We just can't figure it out.
No.
We don't know. The science is just beyond us at this point. There's been people on the hill where the lights are at with other people at this observation station telling them where they're at. And they're like, hey, look 3 feet to your left and there's a fucking light. And they don't see it. Like,
yeah.
It's been explained as reflection and refraction of headlights of cars, but like I said, it's been documented since before the car.
Yeah.
Swamp gases, even though there's no swamp there, but similar. Like West Texas is pretty rich in natural gas and oil and stuff like that, but I don't think it's that. Who knows?
Like a mirage or something.
Yeah, but you can see them at night. They actually have this really cool observation platform that they've built out there.
Yeah.
It used to just be where you just pulled over on the side of the road. But
and we were there for a while
and
didn't see anything at first, to the point where we almost gave up. Sometimes cars were driving by, sometimes not. So that made no difference whatsoever. Then all of a sudden, when we were like, okay, we're good, we're gonna leave, then it was like a freaking plethora of them going down this hill, and the kids were just fascinated, and it was just awesome. And you're like, oh my gosh, what is it?
And then if you're in Marfa, take a 20-minute drive to Alpine. There, yes. I cannot for the life of me remember the name of it. There is a steakhouse in the middle of town.
Oh, I'm totally Googling because it was totally worth it. I'm going to give him a shout out.
It's a mom and pop steakhouse, probably easily in the top 10 steaks I've ever had in my life. They have a tree growing right in the middle of the damn building. They built the building around this tree, which is super cool. Cute little quaint town. Besides that, it's like 4 hours away from any other kind of civilization. I mean, it's way the fuck out there, but Marfa and Alpine, super cool. While you're looking that up, I'm going to go ahead and get into my next spot on my wish list, which I'm not sure if this is my number 2 priority wise, but it was the number 2 that I wrote. And it's the Stanley Hotel. Everybody knows the Stanley Hotel. It was the inspiration for The Shining from Stephen King. A Simpsons joke, The Shining. But let me put my cheaters back on so I can read my notes.
Oh my gosh.
But first off, oh my god, there was that mystery F again that I've been saying all fucking day. Stupid trivia. The Stanley Hotel is named after the same Stanley who invented the Stanley steamer. The company that cleans carpets. I shit you not. Stanley, the same Stanley that made the hotel, made the company Stanley Steamer. So the dude's fucking loaded. The Stanley Hotel has a casino, an airstrip, and my personal favorite, a shooting range.
Hey, hon, does that look familiar?
Yeah, that's the place.
So it is the Rita, Reata restaurant in Alpine, Texas.
Yeah, great place. So everybody knows the Stanley Hotel from The Shining and from all the paranormal shows. But the haunted report started as far back as 1911. So 111 years ago was the first reported paranormal actions at the hotel. If you do go there, apparently room 217, that's 217, is one of the most haunted rooms. 401 is also one of the haunted rooms, but of all the rooms that are there are actually only 8 that are claimed to be haunted.
Huh.
And
how many rooms are there?
I don't know, but
hundreds.
Yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah, it's a
I've seen
huge
pictures.
hotel.
It's huge. Yeah.
But yeah, there's only 8 haunted rooms according to the Stanley Hotel.
I wonder what the list is to get in one of those fuckers.
Yeah, it's got to be crazy.
It's got to be crazy. Fucking crazy.
I'm not going to get into all the different hauntings that are supposed to be there, but I mean, it's just
give us the highlight reel. Well,
okay, so
happens?
there's Lord Dunraven, who was the Irishman. There's a ghost cowboy, the maintenance man Paul, Lucy the young girl, which is probably the most famous one. That's the one that Stephen King saw that inspired the entire.
Come play with us, Danny.
Oh yeah.
He made her twins. Good for him.
He's
got a twin fetish. Filthy bastard.
Yeah, Stephen King has some weird fucking fetishes that we're not going to get into.
Oh, let's get into that later.
But there's theories about the paranormal.
Yeah.
That say that water and limestone are
That's true. They're conduits.
And so just before the first hauntings were reported, they built a hydroelectric power station right near the hotel, which brought more water and
there you go,
stuff like
water.
That. So,
did they make it out of limestone? Let's just bring that on too.
So yeah,
awesome. I know. I definitely Stanley Hotel. I was totally gonna put that on my list. Yeah, but I knew it was already on yours.
Okay.
So totally agree.
So we are 43 minutes into this. This is definitely going to go over an hour, but I don't care.
Don't
I'm
care.
having a blast
keep
with
going.
This one. Yeah.
This is sour cherry Jello shots.
Sour
cherry. I had to use a different liquor. Do you know how hard it is to find sour cherry liquor or liqueur? My parents, God bless you. I'm gonna have to find out where you get it. I went to several places and.
Salud. Delicious. All right, so what's your next one, baby? she's still mowing that down.
Seriously, worst timing ever. So, one of mine's a twofer. I want to go to the town. I know you do, baby. I want to go to the town. Stop looking at me in that tone of voice. That's how Nolan got here. I want to go to the town, but I also want to go to this specific hotel, inn. Because my parents, my dad's not a believer. My mom is a semi-believer. Well, my dad wasn't a believer. I think now maybe he's turning over a new leaf now that he's actually experienced something. So they went. So what I'm talking about is Gettysburg, PA. I want to go to Gettysburg so bad. There's so many sightings of like soldiers and there's videos of it and everything. I mean, obviously just a plethora of death in amazing history that, you know, like there's just, it's rich with history and apparently hauntings.
I want to go there just, I mean, even outside the haunted stuff, I want to go there just for the history of it.
Yeah.
And while we're on, if you've been to any of these places and had any experiences, put that shit in the comments.
We'd love to hear.
And if you're just tuning in or you've tuned in late, if you do know of any cool haunted spots that we should go visit, put them in the comments so we can put them on our bucket list.
Absolutely. But more specifically as well, while we're there visiting Gettysburg, I want to stay at the Farnsworth House Inn. Not the Farnsworth House, because there was another place called that's in Illinois. This is the Farnsworth House Inn. It was built in 1810. It was used to house Confederate soldiers, including the one who shot the only civilian killed during the war, which was the Mary Virginia Jenny Wade. So
wasn't she like doing laundry or something like that?
She was a 20-year-old girl doing laundry. Like, yeah, exactly. And was killed with these Confederate soldiers that were housed in this house were the sharpshooters for the Confederate side. So it was most likely one of them who shot her. Like it hasn't been officially like substantiated, but they're like, this is where the sharpshooters were housed, and she was killed by a sharpshooter. So it was then converted into a hospital. It was also on the Gettysburg Address campaign. So it was visited by a president, you know, things like that. So a lot of history there in the house in and of itself. It was eventually turned into a hospital. When it was first turned into an inn, believe it or not, they found 135 bullets in the walls of this house. 135 bullets from the Civil War in the house. So in
you know
the
how much
135
bullets cost these days in this market?
Civil War bullets? Can you imagine? Jesus, Mary and Joseph. So yeah. So at one point they're like, oh, over 100. No, they counted 135. So bullet holes.
And that's or
100, not 135 bullets, but 135 bullet holes. Excuse me.
And that's in one building.
One house. This is one specific house. So this is an inn now. It's like a B&B. So my parents actually stayed there, and my dad set up a video camera, which got knocked over at one point when no one was in the room, shut down the battery drain several times, and at one point called my mother a bitch. So something in the room called my mother a bitch.
She had it coming.
Stop.
I'm sorry.
She's probably watching.
Karen, I love you.
He's kidding.
You're a saint, Karen.
Shut the fuck up. Don't piss her off. What the website was talking about was voices, things moving, doors opening and closing, things that I saw in the reviews. Heavy breathing.
The ghosts are perverts.
Right. The smell of cheroot, is that how you pronounce it? Cheroot, whatever.
I don't know what the fuck
which is in old cigars.
Ooh.
Yeah. Feeling like someone's tucking you in at night. The Sarah Black room is apparently the most common, where they have said that at 3:30, there was a lot of reviews around 3:30 every night of hearing boot steps and things moving, like things shuffling and moving around. They could hear it, but they didn't see anything moving, but they could hear it, and they heard boot steps around 3:30 in the morning. But also there's photographs. There's photographic evidence of apparitions and things like that. So
that 3:30 in the morning, in various religions and paranormal belief, in certain circles, from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. is believed to be the witching hour, the haunting hour, where spirits are more active, whatever it is. I don't know if they deal with daylight savings time, but sometime between 3 and 4 is commonly known as the witching hour, the haunting hour,
well,
in various beliefs.
One of the people said that yeah, was it there or was it? No, it was another one. Never mind. But apparently this is like one of those off the beaten path haunted places, but apparently it is very haunted. So a lot of the reviews of people staying there had it. There was a girl who was like, oh, I took the tour. They have like a haunted tour sometimes. Like they only do it a few times a year because it is a functioning like bed and breakfast. She said she's gone 3 times, and 2 of the 3 times they had experiences. She's like, to me, that's pretty substantial, which I would have to agree. 2 out of 3 times having experiences, that's pretty substantial. So apparently this is a major hotspot in Pennsylvania. So just saying, you might want to consider it.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Apparently it's one of the most haunted like bed and breakfast like inns in the US. And like I didn't even hear about it until my parents stayed there and I was like, holy shit. And then once I read the reviews, it was like experience. Oh, I had a great whatever. And then it's like,
I really wish I would have done the reviews on the stuff that I looked up.
Totally worth it. Because seeing it from people's perspectives and stuff about their experiences, and most of them don't tell you exactly what their experiences are, but it was like, one of them was like, didn't get much sleep because I'm like, oh shit, that's pretty cool. But most of them were like, definitely had experiences, but didn't go into detail. But some of them that went into detail, their stories were matching other people's, which is pretty fascinating.
Which I can see both sides of the skeptical fence on that one. Like they either experienced it or they've read other reviews and
that's the thing. I read the reviews now, but before we go to these places, I'm not going to reread them. I'm going to completely forget about them, hopefully, because I want to have it like fresh and raw and experience it in real time and not have a preconceived notion. The only reason I looked it up was to share it with y'all. But after today, I'm going to fall asleep. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm not going to remember jack shit of this. Exactly. I'm going to restart that phone and it's going to die every 5 seconds.
So the next place on my list is somewhere I've been hundreds and hundreds of times, but I've never been there as a paranormal investigator or anything to that capacity. But it's somewhere local. There's a place called Presidio La Bahia in Goliad, Texas.
Oh, yeah,
It's right about an hour from here. It was 30 minutes from where I grew up. It was a 45-acre mission that was founded in 1749. I mean, before the U.S. was even the U.S., this place was built. Originally by the Spaniards, then Mexico, Texas, then Mexico, then Texas. But during the Texas Revolution, I didn't even know this until I did some of the research, but it was the battles of multiple Texas Revolutionary War battles. I only knew of the one. There was a huge massacre in 1836, but there was the Battle of Goliad in 1835 that also happened there. Of course, between the Texans and the Mexican army. But the Goliad massacre in 1836 happened, and it wasn't like a massacre like you think of, like the Alamo, where they just went in and they just absolutely destroyed everybody.
And destroyed all.
The Mexican army went there. They had the battle. The Texians surrendered. There was anywhere, depending on the
so it was like a peaceful surrender, so they didn't massacre everybody. Is that what you're saying?
Stand by.
Oh.
So
I asked a good question.
Yeah. So stand by. So there was a battle.
Awesome.
Lives lost.
Not awesome.
Lives lost on both sides. Depending on the historical text that you read about it, it's somewhere between 425 and 455 prisoners of war were taken at the end.
Ooh. That's
now,
a lot.
They lined up all the prisoners as though they were going to march them, and they had marched a lot from another encampment to Refugio right down the road prior. So all these people thought that they were going to get marched. They shot and killed all 400 plus of them as they were lined up to march.
Oh shit!
And that is where the massacre came from. So, I'm gonna kind of paint you a picture of the setting of what it is. There's an actual state park that's there because the church and a few of the oh my goodness, what happened to my power?
I don't know.
Stand by just a moment. Apparently my computer became unplugged.
Second paranormal thing of the night. Just kidding.
How the hell did that happen?
He's right. It did. It's completely unplugged.
Like across the room.
So this was not paranormal. This was user error.
Okay,
thank you for being with us.
So the church or the chapel and a few of the outbuildings, and some of the walls still exist. There's a state park there. It's right next to the San Antonio River. There's a playground, some picnic tables, campsites, gorgeous area.
Yeah.
Beautiful limestone, pre-colonial.
I stayed at the campgrounds near there, right next to there, whatever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So that
with my parents several times, and then with you.
And then across the highway is the actual mission part of it, not the chapel, but the mission. And there are barracks now that were turned into like B&B type stuff.
Oh yeah, my girlfriend's been there.
They were updated enough to have some modern amenities, electricity,
air
conditioning, running water. But outside of that stuff, it's still antiquated furniture, very primitive as far as no cable, nothing like that. It's just what it is. But apparently it's like fucking $300+ to stay in this shit at night or something. It's something ridiculous.
Can I tell you what my friend's experience was?
Yes.
So my friend Dominga and her husband Alfredo have stayed there a couple of times without their kids because they wanted the authentic experience but didn't want to scare the shit out of them. So what they did is they went and stayed because they're like us and they're crazy like that. Her husband is a complete non-believer and she's a complete believer. That's fascinating dynamic, but hey, there you go. But they're both fascinated by it like we are. So they went and stayed, and around between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, she got knocking. They have a front door and they have a back door that's not functional anymore. It used to be like a back exit to whatever, and but it's.
You tell me the back door only functions on anniversaries and birthdays.
Keep that up, and it's only going to be on anniversaries.
Hey.
So, so the back door is sealed off. You can't use it, but it is still there. But it's like walled off on the other side. But it sounded like someone knocked on the back door. So she wakes up her husband and was like, someone's knocking on the back door. He's like, it's not possible. There's like a wall there. She's like, someone's knocking on the back door. So he's like, fine, I'll go around and check. So he goes around, checks, no one's there. When he's on his way back, like he's not far from the door, someone's knocking on the back door again. He walks to the back door. She goes, there it is again. He's like, there is not even, it's a wall. Like it's not there. And so sure enough, he's going back to sleep. He's almost asleep. And there it goes again. So the second time they went, same thing, knocking on the back door. So even though back door is sealed off, don't know. But she said that's the only experience they had was the knocking on the back door. And don't look at me when I say knocking on the back door.
Every time you say it, it's like
you're not knocking on my back door.
My inner 16-year-old chuckles, and my
outer anything else to say
my outer 42-year-old
about
chuckles.
Goliad besides reminding you of my back door.
No, I just really want to do it. Number one, because it's local or regional. It's somewhere that I grew up knowing. I just would really like to experience something there. I think it would be cool as shit.
Yeah. Sounds like
and number two, just because there are so many different reviews and experiences.
I think every place we're talking about, though, if we wanted the haunted rooms, it's going to be like $300.
Oh yeah, it's going to be expensive.
This is quite a list.
So what do we have here?
Key lime pie, baby.
Oh yes,
I know, baby.
Love key lime. That's delicious. So what's next on your list, baby?
Man, I have to swallow those real fast just to get this out.
That's what she said.
First my back door, now swallowing. Come on. We're just getting into it today, aren't
All
we?
right.
That's not the kind of haunting I'm talking about. So that is some very paranormal activity in his pants.
Some boobies.
No.
It's horrible.
Awful. So next is the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast.
Oh, yes. I'm so glad you said that one because I want to go.
So this is in Fall River, Pennsylvania, or Massachusetts. Excuse me. Holy crap. I don't know where I went to Pennsylvania. Fall River, Massachusetts. So in case you haven't heard the story of the Lizzie Borden house, what happened there was her father and stepmother were killed in 1892. So it was Andrew and Abby Borden that were killed in the middle of the night with what was like a hatchet, like 10 whacks with the hatchet. There's even like an old.
You don't have the nursery rhyme?
No, I don't.
Oh, I'm gonna have to Google it while you're doing that.
So she was acquitted 1 year later. So yeah, so she never. Whether she did it or not, I'm not sure. It's besides the point. I mean, they were killed in the middle of the night and she was asleep. And yeah, so there you go. So among the many sightings and experiences there. There is weeping footsteps. There is a Victorian clad apparition, doors opening and closing, muffled whispers in empty rooms. The best part about staying there is in the middle of the night, because the rooms are upstairs. In the middle of the night, you have free range to the first floor. All to you. If you're staying upstairs and throughout the night, you get the whole first floor to yourself all night to do investigations. Basically you get to do investigations, everything. So you get free range. The doors don't lock, so you can go in and out how you please and investigate the whole gosh darn house all by yourself. And in the haunted tours, there was quite a few that said that they got voice recordings during the haunted tours, which are, I mean, that's pretty cool.
So here's the rhyme. It's Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41.
There you go.
So yeah, she
possibly
allegedly. It's
allegedly. She was acquitted 1 year later. So whether she did it or not, I don't know. She sold that house, she bought another one, and lived out her days by herself. So there you go. Maybe that's what she wanted. Good for you.
So I'm going to talk about one place that we've been before.
Oh,
real quick, like.
Sorry, just to preface with this, not good for you, Lizzie Borden, for killing them. Good for you because from what I hear, her father was pretty abusive. So if that is true and she killed him to get away from an abusive father, good for you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna preface this story with don't go to this place because you're gonna get arrested.
Oh my gosh! Then why?
Because you know what happens when you tell dudes not to do something.
Oh my god!
So when Kat and I were dating, I took her to a place that I had gone many times before that was haunted or supposedly haunted. In San Antonio, you have the haunted railroad tracks, and the local lore is that a school bus full of kids was hit by a train. They all died. If you drive your vehicle onto the train tracks where it crosses this road and where the accident had happened, put it in neutral. The spirits of the dead kids will push you uphill off the train tracks.
Yeah.
And not only that, but if you put baby powder on the back or flour or something like that on the back of your car, you'll see handprints all over the back.
Yeah.
So done this 1,000 times, took her, she experienced it. Since there have been actual scientific studies found conducted, and it was found that you're actually rolling downhill. It's an optical illusion. It is a very slight decline that you're going down, but the way the setting is around it, it makes it look like you're going uphill. And the handprints that you see on the back are your own from touching it or other people touching, open, closing trunks. It's the oils from your hands stay on there even after you wash your car.
We can see where you've touched it.
So even after you wash your car, those oils stay on, and that's where you've been touching it.
If I put powder on your junk, would I see lots of...
And then right around the corner from there is an abandoned asylum. I think a lot of the stories revolving around it are more just kind of making it up as you go along or what your friend told you type stuff. There's no real stories to authenticate anything, but it's the building.
You'll get arrested.
The building is in the middle of cornfields. It's
right
been
next to
abandoned.
a prison.
And then they've opened up.
Don't go there.
Yeah, but the building is basically it's a 3-story brick cube with no windows on the second or third floor. If you do happen to get in there, which I don't recommend going in there for all liability reasons, do not go there. The farmer will shoot at you. The police will arrest you because it's now a private road. We're not going to get into that story, but me and some friends went in there before I even knew you. And first floor, eerie. It looks like
before you knew me, the Dark Ages.
Yes, the Dark Ages. The first story was it's just eerie. Like it looks like everybody had just walked out, left. They didn't take any of the furniture, the paperwork. It's like they just walked out, locked the doors, and said, "All right,
deuces."
Bye." So we're just looking around and we're 19, 20, 21 at the time. Just being typical 19, 20, 21-year-olds, just being absolutely fucking retarded, scaring each other, scaring ourselves. Get to the second floor. Everybody's demeanor and attitude shifts a little bit where it's you're getting more scared. and the talking is more nervous, but there's less of it. Nervous laughs, things like that. I was the first one up the stairs to get into the third floor, and as my first foot hit the landing at the top of the third floor, and this chair just flies across the room, and all you see is elbows and assholes running down the fucking stairs. I ran over everybody because fuck that, because it's either some pissed off ghost that's trying to kill me, or it's some fucking methed out, super strong bum that was able to launch this fucking chair across the room. And I wasn't sticking around to find out.
And he comments about me running away when I saw a rattlesnake.
Hey,
and I left him for dead. See, there you go. Our kids needed one surviving parent. It was going to be me. Okay? It was going to be.
So let's do this before we do the next one.
No, but you have. Oh, I was about to say, we usually do it after your stuff. But okay.
We'll do it.
Whatever. Well, while we're doing this, I'll tell you about the place that is not on my list, but like I want to go. And that's. Oh, wait. I'll do that. Here, let's take this. This is watermelon, Thebold. Sour watermelon jelly shot.
While we're on my bed. That's fucking tasty. I can eat the shit out of those ones. That is tasty.
I changed the recipe to make them sour watermelon. Isn't that nice?
That's delicious. So you're saying yours? Or I'm saying mine?
You're going to say yours. I'm just going to bring up one place that I want to go, but it's not my top 5. And that is the Bonaventure Cemetery in Savannah, Georgia. Savannah, Georgia, in and of itself, I want to see. There's lots of hauntings there. It's in and of itself, the town is rich with history and haunts and beautiful. But the Bonaventure Cemetery in Savannah, Georgia was the birthplace for the idea of the midnight. What is it? The Midnight in the Cemetery of the Garden of Good or Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. That's what it is. And
I have no idea what that is.
So it's got like Spanish moss and Gothic and Victorian sculptures and statuettes and everything in this cemetery. But the most common, the most popular, the most well-known is that of Gracie Watson, who is a 6-year-old girl who died of tuberculosis. Her statue, it's like a life-size statue of her that's on her gravesite. And apparently the statue moves. And that's what was the inspiration to the book. So just so you know. Yeah. So now it's your turn. Sorry.
So real quick before I get going, if you're just now tuning in or tuning in late, please, we're talking about haunted places or paranormal places that we want to go that we haven't visited. We're recanting some of the places, or not recanting, recounting some of the places that we've been that are paranormal. If you have anything that you would like to suggest, put it in the comments so we can put it on our bucket list and hopefully one day make it there. If you think it's a cool haunted place that was local to where you grew up or where you're stationed or where you live now.
Or you've just gone on a vacation
or you've gone,
and you're like, dang, that was haunted.
The next place I have, it's not one specific building. It is actually an entire city that I want to go just because the city is known for its paranormal activity. And that is New Orleans.
Yeah.
New Orleans, Louisiana. The home of voodoo. It's actually home to vampires as we know them today. That's where Anne Rice was living when she wrote Interview with Vampire.
Got it.
But there was actually, during the 1930s, there was brothers John and Wayne Carter who were executed for the murders that they were doing. And their murders, they never saw them commit the murders, but all the bodies that were found were completely drained of blood.
Huh. I didn't know that.
And there were sightings of the brothers after they were executed in and around their apartment building.
Oh, that's cool.
And their bodies disappeared from the family vault.
Okay, that's even cooler.
So there's number one, there's vampires in New Orleans. So of course I want to go.
Cool.
Of course you can't talk New Orleans without talking about Marie Laveau, the Queen of Voodoo. Her house is still there. She's in the St. Louis Cemetery, which is definitely one of the places I want to go. They have the haunted tours in the St. Louis Cemetery. There's tons of history, tons of sightings, experiences, things like that there. Too many to even get into, but go look it up. It's a really cool historical place because of New Orleans being lower than sea level. All the caskets are actually above the ground because the caskets used to like float up.
Yes.
Every time it flooded there.
Yeah. Even if it didn't flood, apparently because where the water level sits, that the water underground slowly migrates them back up. From what I hear, they just like start rising randomly.
Marie Laveau, there's still accounts that she's still alive to this day, even though she lived in the 19th century. She's been long gone, but there are still cults and religions that follow her and her teachings and her beliefs. She was the illegitimate daughter of a slave owner, Charles Laveau, and one of his Haitian slaves. So, but she went from being the bastard child of a slave owner to being one of the most prominent and powerful females in New Orleans history, which is really cool.
Good for her.
But yeah, she still has so much sway over the area to this day. And anything surrounding her.
She's still alive.
Yeah. There's the La Laurie Mansion, which if you've ever watched American Horror Story, I can't remember which season it is, but they reference Madame LaLaurie, her mansion, but she was sick and twisted. She would actually buy slaves specifically to torture and kill them.
Oh yeah,
she was the one
I remember
that would,
this reference. Like in the basement, she'd chain them up and stuff.
She would chain them up. She'd put, there was like these cages she had built that would go around their heads. She would suspend their bodies by hooks while they're still alive. I mean, just the grotesque and gruesome things that she would do is just beyond what they could put in a lot of history books. You have to actually like research and stuff. I mean, thanks to Google, you can find a lot of stuff. But before that, you would actually have to go and do.
My Google already thinks too little of them. I can't do that.
But in the mansion, people have witnessed phantom limbs from where she had cut body parts off of living slaves. So supposedly people have seen phantom limbs like legs and hands and arms laying on tables, and then you turn around and it's not there anymore.
Holy shit.
People have seen slaves being hanged, the bodies of young children strewn around the house, and you turn around and they're gone. And things have gotten so grisly and so crazy there that it is no longer a tourist attraction and has been closed to the public, and you cannot rent it out anymore.
Shut the fuck up.
Which gives it this just that much more mystique.
It does.
And of course, the St. Louis cemetery.
Beautiful.
But that one, just go and research that one on your own, please. Right outside of New Orleans, you have Myrtle's Plantation, which is one of the top haunted places in America, believe it or not. There's a slave girl known as Chloe, which haunts the place. Depending on how you treat her, talk about her, and the plantation will dictate on how the spirits are treating you.
Huh.
If you go there with respect and reverence, then you're gonna have a nice warm welcome.
And that's how we try to go into.
And if you go there being an asshole, you're gonna get slapped, beat, kicked, bruised, scratched, like crazy shit.
I have some friends that they should not come with us.
There is Lafitte's Blacksmith Shop Bar.
Damn, boy, this is not a 2-hour episode.
No, this is but these are just
give me the highlight reel.
This is the highlights. This is,
oh my god. One more place.
This one. So it was built by an American pirate in 1722. But people see ghost pirates there. Believe it or not, like actual ghost pirates, and this dude did pirate business out of this pirate bar.
So we need to spend like a week in New Orleans to visit all of these different sites.
But it's also haunted by, supposedly haunted by a spirit of a young woman who committed suicide on the top floor. And then the last place is the Legend of the Casket Girls. During the colonization of New Orleans, there was a convent where they ended up killing like a bunch of the nuns thought there was a demonic presence, and so they killed all these like 300 plus people, put them in caskets, nailed the caskets closed, and put them in the attic.
Oh my gosh, a couple of nuns?
Over 300 coffins were. And so in 1978, 2 reporters broke into the attic to find this place. Their bodies were found the next morning, decapitated and drained of blood.
No freaking way.
Yeah.
Oh my
gosh.
Yeah,
we are going to have to spend a lot of time in New Orleans because there's just
Dang.
so much there that's so cool.
That is awesome. There is a lot there. Okay, so like a week in New Orleans, that'll only cost us like 10 grand. Okay, so my next one. So we have the USS Lexington here in Corpus Christi. We have gone. It is haunted. More specifically, the engine room where there was an explosion and people died, things like that, is where most of the
hit by a
sightings
torpedo.
are. Hit by a torpedo, yes. So, sorry, I wasn't specific enough when I said explosion.
We take the USS Lexington for granted. For those who don't know, it's a naval aircraft carrier that was commissioned right before World War II. Was in battle in World War II, was decommissioned back in the 90s, I believe, and then was brought here to Corpus Christi to where it's now a museum, naval museum.
Anyway,
museum,
they actually have like cameras on it at all times in the hot spots, if you will, of the paranormal activity. I've actually gotten to have a private tour by an employee when I was a teenager. I will tell you, it's fucking creepy. They even do nighttime, like sleepovers and everything with nighttime tours. Apparently, it's pretty eerie. So, anyway, so that's what we have here in Corpus. We've been there dozens of times. And that leads me to the next on my list.
Our lights off.
I already said that.
I know it was flickering. I didn't know it went off.
And when you lost the camera or the thing,
plug.
Yeah, I'm gonna get on. Can I get on with it? Can I get on with it?
Get it on.
Thanks.
Get it on.
Thanks for your permission.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So the next on my list is the RMS Queen Mary.
Yes.
So it is now in Long Beach, California. So this was created in 1936. It was a commercial luxury cruise liner. Was briefly used as a warship during World War II to transport troops, more specifically, not necessarily for fighting, but to transport troops back and forth. But from 1936 to 1967, it was a cruise liner, a luxury cruise liner. And then in 1967, the city of Long Beach, California bought it and turned it into a hotel. So there is quite a bit of activity on this. And I've actually heard of this before. Lots of apparitions. But the apparitions they're not intelligent apparitions. They're all like residual haunts. They said it's apparitions of employees, sailors, things like that, carrying out their normal lives. They don't even realize that people are there, but they're just carrying out their normal business. And so that is the most common thing. The most common thing on this ship is apparitions. That to me was like, oh shit. So that is the most common thing. Because I guess but all of them are wearing period clothing from 40 plus years ago. So that's the only way they know that they're not real, because apparently people have said, oh, the guy in the costume like really added to it. And the tour guides are like, there was no one in costume during this tour. And it happens all the time.
Isn't the Queen Mary where Ryan Bergara from BuzzFeed Unsolved had his first paranormal?
I think so.
It was where the toothpaste like flew off the thing?
Yes, So there was one reported death so there was one official reported death. There was various ones, but there was one that they bring up because this is the guy they've actually seen most of the time. And it was a fireman who got crushed by a watertight bulkhead door. It fell on top of him and crushed him. But people kept describing this guy with like dark clothes and this beard, and this is what he looked like. And they'd show him a picture of the fireman that was crushed, and they would all be like, that's him. So everyone was like, yeah, that's the actor we saw. Yeah. That's not an actor. That guy died. And so that's why they think it's him, is because everyone's been like, nope, that's him. Like they pinpointed the picture on the wall, or they've been handed a picture like, is this the guy you saw? Like, yeah. And so they all thought it was an actor during the tour guides and stuff. And nope, it wasn't. So that's the one that's one of the most common. The other most common is there's multiple pools in the RMS Queen Mary. In the second class pool, there was a little girl who drowned, and apparently she is seen standing on the side of the pool when you're in the pool staring at you, which is
okay. That would
fucking
that reminded that movie Ghost Ship.
Besides that, hold on. Yes, Besides that, there is footsteps near the other pool. There's children crying and laughing in the third class rooms. Things like that. But that was on sites and the most whatever. So when I read the reviews, this is where it gets fun. When I read the reviews, things that they don't talk about on the website, things you can't find on Wikipedia, things like that. In the reviews, the most common room brought up, the only room that I saw that was specifically brought up, besides like the pool or this or that, but an actual room was B340, B340,
Bingo.
a third class cabin room that apparently has a lot of activity. Like there was so many things like don't stay in B340.
You can stay. You can like run out
sleep. I got woken
rooms?
up. I got this. Yes. You can.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a hotel now. It's a hotel.
Oh, I thought it was just like a tour type
Nope,
thing where you can walk through.
Both. They do tours, but it is a funcking hotel. You can
That's
stay
super
there.
cool. Okay,
So
yeah.
B340 apparently is the most haunted. All of the reviews that I didn't get to read like thousands of reviews, but I read dozens of reviews, and the one that was brought up was B340. So there you go. So if you're gonna stay there, stay in that room. If you want activity.
Yeah, we're going.
Yeah. And go to the third class or second class pool and all of the things.
So I've got one place left on my list.
Super. Do this first.
Okay, what flavor
Last
is this?
Jello shot, strawberry berry.
Strawberry berry. It sounds like stuttering. It's all like Drew Lynch.
Like the blueberry berry. Mm-hmm.
That's delicious. There's a lot of dead air for the people that are listening and not watching. So
better. You rather hear me like slurping on some Jello babies?
My old man glasses back on. So my last place I want to go.
Well, at least you're wearing them like a normal person right now.
Oh no, I'll do this so I can see.
Oh, good.
It's stupid. With my contacts, I can see far, but I can't see close. It's retarded.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's stupid. Without my contacts, I can see close, but not
so
far.
that means you need what, trifocals?
How about try fuck yourself? So the last place on my list is Alcatraz.
Oh, that's a good way.
So Alcatraz, everybody knows it's a prison built on a tiny island in San Francisco Bay.
White Island.
It was the setting for the classic film The Rock
with Nicolas Cage
and Sean Connery.
And Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, Nick Cage. Nicolas fucking woo Cage.
No one's gonna get that right now. Literally nobody, but
they will. They will. But it was open from 1934 to 1963, 29 years. It was a maximum security prison. Mm-hmm. It was the inmates that actually nicknamed it The Rock. It was supposedly unescapable.
The Titanic was unsinkable.
The cells in B and C block, the cells were only 5 foot by 9 foot.
Oh Jesus!
So think about it.
I'm 5 foot.
So
I can't even lay down.
It was you laying down wide, and not even two of you long.
That's just,
like it's tiny.
That is
tiny. The D block cells were slightly bigger, but inmates were held for 24 hours a day, and were only allowed one weekly visit to the recreation yard alone.
Yikes.
There were, of course, no-name criminals that were there, and there were super famous people like Al Capone, Birdman, people like that. So to this day, they claim that there were no escapes.
Even though
But there were 36 inmates who tried that. 23 were captured. 6 were shot to death. 2 of them drowned. And however, 5 were missing after their escape, but presumed they had drowned. So
I'm just saying,
because they never found them, they do not claim them as or accept it as escapes.
Of course not. They want a perfect record.
Stupid piece of trivia before I get to the hauntings. The prison had hot water, and that wasn't because it was a nice thing for the inmates to have hot water. The thought was if they showered in the hot water, then they can't acclimate to the freezing water of the bay to swim and escape.
Oh shit!
So they didn't have the option of having cold water to shower in or brush their teeth. They had hot water running the whole time.
That's funny.
Clever. And then the hauntings, it's actually believed to be one of the most haunted places in America. It's in the top 5 haunted places in America. Many people died in the prison. I didn't find the exact number, but visitors claim that they hear male screams, whistling to the tune of like full songs, not just like random, like full songs of whistling, like somebody's in their cell keeping themselves entertained.
Fascinating.
Slamming doors, both regular doors and cell doors.
Got it.
And walking sounds,
like
shoe steps, footsteps,
yeah.
Breathing uncomfortable, like the feeling of
like you're
somebody
being
staring
watched.
at you. Yeah. Believe it or not, there was no death row in Alcatraz.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But many people committed suicide. There are many prisoner on prisoner
attacks.
Deaths.
Wow.
And some but the fewest causes of death was natural causes. The least amount of
which prison was it? Wasn't it Alcatraz where we're going through their books of murders and part of it was death by masturbation?
I can't remember. Yeah, but there was one. It was death by masturbation.
And I was like, I know now how I want to go out.
But a lot of the hauntings are also and this is all speculation, but
obviously,
but it was said that because of the conditions where they kept the inmates in their cells 24 hours a day, with no interaction with anybody else, when they did go to the rec yard for that 1 hour, 1 day a week by themselves, like they never got to see anybody. So people went insane. Solitary, human brains and emotions are not meant to be alone.
Yeah.
And solitary. So it'll actually break a person's spirit. And because of that, there were a lot of suicides. So the belief is a lot of these suicides, their spirits are still there because it's just the unfinished business and blah, 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 blah.
Tortured souls.
But yeah. And the prison finally closed in 1963 because the operating costs became too high, being so far away from everything else, having to ship literally ship
everybody in, every supply,
but not all the supplies, all the food,
the
laundry, everything.
Visitor, well, they don't have visitors, do they? Huh? I bet not.
And
prison guards every day in and out. Fuck yeah.
So yeah, it became too expensive. But
with gas prices the way they are, fuck
that. Yeah, that ain't no shit.
And for that reason.
That I think those are my top 5.
Yeah, me too.
You've gone through all your 5 already?
I have, yes.
So your top 5, I'm really glad that you brought up some of the ones that you did, because
I'm glad you brought up some ones you did, because I think if I had to pick a top 10, I think this is pretty close. Maybe there's like one thing from your list I might have like substituted with something else, but I think for the most part, I think we have an accord.
Yeah, we have an agreement.
Or an accord.
No. A Civic?
A Congress?
A murder? Okay, now we're just
a pod.
A Tide Pod.
And for that reason, we're gonna play out.
Please, I can't beg you enough. If you do know of any haunted places that weren't on our list, places that we can actually rent out or stay or take a tour or something like that,
please share it in the comments.
Please share it in the comments, because we want to make our bucket list. We're going to start making annual trips.
Thank you for hanging in there an extra 30 minutes with us.
Yeah, we did run a little bit long, but this is something that we just truly enjoy.
Love it. Absolutely. And don't forget to go to your favorite podcast streaming system and go ahead and diddle that skittle of that like button.
And make sure that you get a consensual roll in the hay with that share button. You can go check out all of our old episodes at YouTube and your favorite podcasting platforms. Fuck you, words. Ugh. But thank you. Next week, I believe we're going to be live again. Or is it next week or the week after?
I'm available next week. So if you're available next week, I'm available next week. So.
I don't know. We're here every Wednesday at 8 o'clock. So we'll see you one way or another. Got some great guests coming up. Can't wait to have Nick Ron again. He's coming up on the 18th of May.
Don't look at me. You have all that list.
I've got
I
things
just
planned.
show up and look pretty.
Which you do really, really, really
Thanks,
well.
babe. It's my only job, so if I
But,
didn't-
But thank you all for watching, tuning in. And remember, if you're going to go out and drink, please don't drive. If you're going to drive, please don't drink. But if you do drink to excess because I approve. And with that, we are out.
All right.